My name is Rick Eutsler with AirgunWeb. We've got Cecil Bays, which is AirgunScout, and we've got a special guest here in the studio, Rob Potter. Rob, how you doing?
All right. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing very well. Cecil, what's up with you, man?
I'm trying to figure out my phone here.
Well, we'll just move on with the other party we have, which is important to the whole machine here, keeps us all rolling and moving. We've got Sue. How you doing, Sue?
I think I'm okay. I'll let you know at the end of the show.
Well, I've got Rob. We've got two that are like on and two maybes. What we got going on here?
Yeah,
running.
I'm doing well, Rick. How are you?
Yeah.
Doing awesome.
Thank you.
Everything is awesome.
Yes, awesome.
That's
Everything
what Lego
awesome.
says.
Really, we were talking about this yesterday. Yeah, okay.
Well, it was not awesome yesterday. Yesterday was awesome. Friday was awesome. Anyway, guys, we are here on Air Power, and we've got Rob here with IASS and Shoot Right. Is that correct?
Shoot Right.
There we go. Well, the Shoot Right is the company, and IASS is
just a division of the shooting portion of
There we go.
it.
I'll get it. We were talking about this for like a while now, but I've got so many letters going through my IASS, IDPA, SSP. I'm like, what the heck, man? I feel a bit like Robin Williams there at the that Good Morning Vietnam when he runs off all the letters. That was pretty funny. I'm not nearly as articulate. But Rob, tell us a little bit about what you're doing here actually this weekend. Why don't we start with that?
This weekend we brought out doing the International Air Shooting Sports, doing the 3-gun air program out here. Just bringing a new light of shooting out there from firearm enthusiasts to airgun enthusiasts.
Okay.
So we just want to let them say there's an action shooting sport that we can actually start doing as if we're shooting regular 3-gun.
All right. So I am, as we were talking earlier, I am an airgun guy. I'm a precision shooter airgun guy. And if it's not covering, if I can't cover it with a dime, if I can't shoot 5 to 10 shots in a group and cover it with a dime, to me, at least previously, this is where I was, I've been
48 hours ago.
Well, not at 40. I mean, I have been moving away from this for a while because I review more than just precision guns, but it doesn't appeal to me, unless I'm just drilling tiny little holes every single time I'm shooting. What we did yesterday, the guns we were shooting yesterday were not precision guns. They were action guns, and there's a distinction there.
Right.
Okay.
Just more into how the action works to even how the sport runs. Say if you're doing your precision, you're staying in one position and staying there all day, popping holes in paper.
Right.
Here we're on a time to see how fast we can get through and the least amount of time.
Right.
And before precision, we want to take our time.
Right. It's on the other opposite,
Right.
Opposite end of the spectrum. Now, what we found, or what I found interesting, was I didn't know anything about 3-gun. I didn't know anything. I mean, 3-gun obviously is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to use
3 guns.
3 guns.
Yeah,
Okay.
hey.
We got that figured out. But the whole idea of the rules and the point of it, it was very interesting. I got to tell you, it was exciting. And when the timer goes off, beep, I mean, you're on it, buddy. You better get to moving.
Yeah, you got to be moving there.
So
some of us did better than others.
yeah, who did the best, Sue? Who had the best time?
First time out, certainly not you.
After the mulligans, he had the best time.
That's true. I did get
Then
to run
again,
it again.
first time round,
course, I did.
certainly wasn't me either.
Yeah, I had the guns for a week to practice before we did the shoot. So.
I don't think that through all the time, Cecil.
You don't.
I was just like, wait a minute. Hey, can I borrow the Elite Force M4 CQB? Can I borrow that 1911? I want to practice. I'm like, sure, Cecil. Exactly how am I going to practice? I'm like, what's up with this? First time you ran through was not too bad. It was like 69 seconds.
Yeah, it was actually, for the guys who've been doing it, it's pretty
Slow.
shabby,
Right.
pretty slow.
It was sort of geriatric,
Yeah,
but
it was.
you didn't have your insure.
Yeah.
Take your
AARP, here I come.
and then I ran it. And here's the thing: is that I ran it. I'm Fat Boy, so here's Fat Boy comes in with a 36 something. Cecil says, "Wait a minute, I get to go again."
Well,
You're like a couple tens off.
Your second time through, you got 36.
No, the first time through, I had a major equipment failure. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, that's my story too.
So I'm going to describe what this was. Now, again, for you guys that are air gunners out there, we talk a lot about field target. We talk about long-range shooting. We talk about group size and feet per second. And all of the stuff we did yesterday, you sort of take that, throw it out the window.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Because
Well, you're limited on your feet per second too.
yeah, and I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
What's the tops? I mean, and you were talking about insurances and all kinds of things. I
right.
never thought
Well,
of.
right
Go ahead.
now, because some of the stuff is going in and out, and inside, outside, being able to shoot this whole program. Right now, it's 600 feet per second and less. It kind of followed the same kind of CMP rule for 10-meter shooting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's for indoor
So-
shooting, so you don't get the lead dust.
Correct. Right. From the lead dust to even just how the ranges are designed and everything else, just got to make sure those side impact walls or something are able to hold up a pellet or something that's going to be flying through them, and the weight of the pellet and the kind of pellet. We went wad cutters and not doing any kind of like Diablo or anything like that. We wanted to stay away from
Everything's wad
something out there,
cutters,
so just all wad cutters at 7.0 to 7.5 grain. So
Okay. And so we're talking 600 feet per second or less, 177 only,
177.
wad cutters, and we're shooting pistol or rifle.
Right.
And the pistols we were shooting are all semi-automatics, 1911s, or a revolver. I had a Smith & Wesson out there, which I found to be my favorite gun to use, that or the Beretta 92 FS. But those were my favorites to use. But you're also shooting airsoft, which was just as effective as the pellet guns on these targets, correct?
Right. I find a lot of times a lot of the airsoft more accurate. In a sense, we're using the guns that are about $100.
Yeah, this is
we're not even talking the. You can find an airsoft competition pistol for $1,500 to $2,000.
Wow.
So, and they just got the whole system of working out there. That's more like your Asian market, but hey, it's out there. It could be brought in, and they're great guns to be able to say I got a compliment to my firearm for. So,
and when I sent out the email, it was it, I don't know if it was Airguns versus firearms or firearms versus airguns or whatever it was, and that was really meant to hopefully grab some people and bring them in, because we are not ever talking about, at least I am not talking about, replacing firearms in any sense of the word. I mean, my thing is to let firearms guys know there's something else you may be interested in, and it's a lot of fun, and it gives you that trigger time that you may not otherwise get for a fraction of the cost.
right.
And it helps those of us who need to practice but don't have the time to go to a range to get some practice in too.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
One weekend, between rifle and pistol, we shot 2,500 rounds. How much was that going to hit your pocketbook for?
A lot.
That's just 40. That's just to say if you shot 1,000 of that, 1,500 of that, just a 45.
Yeah.
That's going to hit pocketbook big time. Now, if you take it over and say your AR 223, how many rounds how much money are you going to put?
It's a lot
out
of
for that?
money.
We spent probably 800,000 something bucks easy just on a little bit of rounds there. But from your airsoft to your airgun, especially that airsoft, 5,000 rounds, $30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I shot a little over 500 pellets, and it cost me $7-8.
And it's just as fun, isn't it?
I've never done it with a firearm, but I mean, I've shot firearms, and
That's
I've
what
shot
I mean. I don't mean-
rapid fire with a firearm, and I've chased tin cans across a hill with a firearm, which is sort of what we're doing. I mean, if you're trying to hop a tin can across a hill with an AR or with a 911 or one of these things, it's you're having a very quick target acquisition and firing off until the
Correct.
clip's empty. And this is not that different, although it's not bouncing around on you. You got stationary targets, but you have to move, acquire, and fire very, very quickly, which is nothing like I'm used to shooting precision, precision type shooting with air guns.
No, it's slow and deliberate. This is more instinctive shooting.
Right, and that's
Right.
a good point. If you take time to sight, you're going to have a very slow score.
Yes.
You sort of need to know reactionarily.
Moving on.
You need, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna pass. You sort of need to know instinctively where that round's gonna go without actually sighting. You sort of just feel it,
Right.
and it's amazing how that works.
Yeah, and knowing the gun you're using is a really important thing, because if you don't know your pistol or your rifle that you're using, then you aren't going to hit the target.
Right.
Right. And it's just coming over just in that practice.
Yeah.
I mean, as you bring back to say your firearm to that airgun airsoft, you're going to be able to put so many rounds downfield. There's professionals out there that are practicing with their airsoft in these kind of fields.
That makes sense.
And then go back out, shoot 100 to 200 rounds to make sure they got that acclimation back to that regular firearm for that competition that next day. Within 48 hours or 24 hours, they're acclimated back, to it, but they're not practicing their same old bad habit.
Yeah.
They're practicing out of that bad habit. That's what's good about this air gun and airsoft. But a lot of these ranges that you do go to that are shooting 3-gun, steel challenge, or IDPA, there's a way you have to go through a class and understand what you got to do, and everyone shares a job. You know, you're helping out on the range, on the steel. Someone's assigned to this lane, and then you go through a rotation. You know, everyone's there to help each other. It's not all about one person running a whole range.
Sure.
You know, sometimes you'll do that on your 10-meter stuff or precision. Someone's grabbing the targets, pulling them in, and then getting everyone started for the next relay and ready to go.
Yep.
Well, here, everyone's functioning as a unit together. This guy's going to go down and paint the targets for the pistol. This guy's going to paint the shotgun. This guy's going to paint the rifle. And then you rotate. And then as they go through, you'll see who, you know, that's when that next person comes up and shoots.
Gotcha.
And a lot of these firearm places or ranges have it where you go through a class and have to know what you're doing, or they're not going to let you shoot.
No, that makes sense.
And with this kind of training, you can start training people and understand if they're an instructor or if they're a coach, whatever, in pistol, rifle, whatever, and doing these things and training. This is the easy way to practice, and you don't have to. I know some guys that do CCW classes, and they practice with airsoft for the guys.
Sure.
And he says it's less I have to worry about wearing my my flak jacket, because a lot of those guys wear flak jacket because I ain't turning my back on everybody with regular firearm doing CCW class, you know.
Yeah,
You know, so there's guys that take that far out.
Well,
But you know,
it makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
Now you got that assurity in people and confidence. And okay, here we're going to have a 10-year-old kid running down the range, you know, being able to shoot, but you know, without no real training. With this, it's a practical that you can wind up getting in there and be able to get that pistol, shotgun, or rifle. Found some people were saying they were really great with doing that rifle, but they see where they're weak at with that pistol. So it expose what you're really strong and weak in.
Yeah.
So
That was certainly my experience, but I also enjoyed it because I got someone to coach me on how to hold the pistol better so that I could shoot better with it.
Right.
That was cool.
right, the positions are way different.
Yeah.
I mean, you're facing
Yeah.
and straight out in a isosceles position, straight at your target, versus if you're taking a 90-degree angle down the firing line and looking with your shoulder straight down. If you're doing like international pistol, you know, that's a total different style.
Yeah,
with
and
one hand, so.
for me, I normally, and I know you were guys. I saw you talking to some old timers there about the positions, and I tend to use, you know, what do they call
Weaver
it?
position.
The Weaver position. That's how
Right.
I normally shoot. But you were saying that you have a blind side with that. So what you were talking about is that straight. Was it isosceles or
Isosceles position, right.
position?
Yep.
Well, I'll learn all these terms eventually. All right, everybody, and we are back. We're here talking with Rob Potter with Shoot Right. I get it right here.
Yes, you did.
Shoot Right, and his program, the IASS, which is International Air Shooting Sports. There we go. And of course, we've got Cecil here, the Airgun Scout, and Sue over there on the computer and Facebook. Hopefully keeping up with all these product mentions. I want to say thank you to Umarex because we had their signage out there, and also Pyramid Air, who sponsor Rob and what he's got going on. They send you product and keep you. Well, they're good. They have great products. Good guys to work with, regardless. So I want to say thanks out to those guys. Rob, tell me a little bit about who you are, your background, why you started this, where you came from, etc.
My background came from, I actually shot competition, but most of it was regular, and then also played regular sports. But I carried over from busting both ankles.
Okay.
I can't play football at 45 years old, you know. So shooting.
I can't play football at 20 years old. Go ahead.
But shooting is one of those sports I found from when I started in 7th grade shooting competition muzzleloader, coming on out and then going through military and shooting for our squad or platoon and competitions, and I found out my ankles were busted and I was still able to shoot and it wasn't hindering me. So carrying this into the civilian side of the world, working in the school system really primed me to go out and want to do something when kids start telling me they get outrun bullets and so forth like that. And they were serious about it. I mean, they were dead out serious about it. Being a certified teacher, that was scary to me. And I look over here, I have now, at that time, an 8-year-old son.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of scary. He's in the school district that I'm in, and I'm hearing this in the school district where I'm at. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this. God gave me a talent. I got to use something with this talent, not just hide it and just use it for whatever I want to use it for. So I started, besides our nonprofit doing bully programs and abduction programs, we started out the shooting side and doing basic gun safety, going to school, speaking about safety and so forth. And then I went and started doing camps. Got hooked in with the ROTC guys and started doing 3-position rifle, air rifle.
Okay.
And started out from there. And then...
okay, let's stop for a second.
Yeah.
For those people that don't know, give us just like 30 seconds of what 3-position?
3-position rifle, prone, standing, kneeling.
Okay.
But it's more going in towards your small bore 22, going for Olympic-style shooting, or standing for air rifle or small bore. Okay,
so someone that's young, they want to get into a discipline, the 3-position's a good place to start.
Yes, very much.
Cost of entry on the products is under $1,000, I think.
Oh yeah, starting a team is a lot easier doing in a sporter class. It's just regular plain clothes. Don't have to get any kind of real special anything out there, and just get them started. Teaching them basic marksman BRM program. Put it this way: if you went through a Boy Scout merit badge class and you start learning 3-position rifle or 4-position, you're on. Yeah. Okay. So that's a little bit about 3-position, which I'm learning a little bit by. So I just want to. So you came out of the 3-position, and then what was next? Next was bringing into doing some pistol, and then we started looking around and seeing what was missing in a sport that I'm now teaching into is the airgun ranks and airsoft. Okay. I said, what's missing there? Well, I visited a couple of airsoft ranges and seen a lot of violations with pistol and rifle. Right. And I went, well, hey, won't we start some classes doing this stuff? And what does this relate over to? Being ex-military, I run from building to building to learn how to clear. Mm-hmm. So I thought, let's start doing some of this, and started watching different shooting sports. We don't have that. We don't have 3-gun. We don't have IDPA. Wait, can I back up just for a second? Go ahead. Okay, so it's taken me some time to sort of accept airsoft. Okay, purist air gunner. Yeah. I thought airsoft was toys. Okay, I thought they were all just toys. Yeah. As a replacement for paintball, because it's cheaper, and paintball's $60 for 2,000 rounds. I'm paying $25 for 10,000 rounds. Okay, and I'm charging it in the wall. It's electric. I'm not having to run and get CO2 filled. There was a lot of advantages I saw if you were skirmishing, rather, because that's what paintball is, right? I mean, you're shooting each other essentially. Airsoft was just to me, my perception was simply, it was a replacement for paintball. Right. You didn't have the precision as precision air rifles. However, having done this weekend, it has really turned me, and I was already pretty much most of the way there, because I've shot airsoft, and I found I really personally enjoy them. They have a lot of advantages. They're very realistic. Right. Extremely realistic. I mean, they were built to be realistic from the beginning. I mean, they were, the whole point of it, if I have my history right, was they were Japanese in origin. Exactly, Japanese in origin, because all the firearms were taken away from them, and that's all they have to practice with today. Yeah. That's still all they have to practice with. And if you're looking into a practical pistol scenario, one of the world's best shooters is from Japan, and all he practices was with that. He came over state of Washington, and he took a match and took a national. Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty good with his firearm. Yeah. I mean, so that's for me. I had already started along that sort of change in thinking, with airsoft being more than just a toy. Okay. So I want to encourage air gunners out there that are listening, that are probably maybe a little bit more like I used to be. Right. If it was just going out and shooting each other, there's very little use to that for me. I'm too fat and old, and I'm not going to run around. I'm just a big target. So, I mean, for me, that's not something I'm going to go and do cute, close quarter battle in an arena. That's not what I'm going to do, okay? But if I had the ability to do Steel Challenge, which is those 5 to 6 inch targets, I'm getting my sizes right, correct? And then you have the larger squares. You shoot the squares with the Steel Challenge, or just round? Yes, no. You still have the 6x8s. Okay. That would look like your bigger bang targets that would be out there, or gongs, or whatever, however you want to say it is at that time. And the idea is that you're shooting combat accuracy, as I like to call it. And that's a real term, right, guys? Right. Military guys. Well, right. Yeah. Instinctive shooting is what they call it. Right. So it's less about, less about the precision and more about the action.
And these guns, I wouldn't want to use a BB gun because we'd have like a steel BB because you do ricochet.
Correct.
But the plastics don't seem to bounce as bad. Am I right on that?
Well, a lot of them's not bouncing as much. If you use tin, they're going to bounce. If you start using your harder steel, like your cold rolled steel or something, they're hitting, and a lot of them are actually breaking in half or chipping or some kind of crack, and it's not bouncing as far.
Yeah.
It disperses the energy.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And then if we're using a static target, which you would use a static target, it's not moving or anything. It just sounds off as a little bang or ding doing your steel challenge. And like most of our scenarios yesterday, except for our challenge stage, had the challenge stage had the following targets. Everything else was mainly a stationary target, so you had more just your regular bang targets that are out there. So.
And you just heard it. You knew when you hit it because of the distinct sound of it. Okay, so that which I did not realize that there was an application for, what you're talking about is you have now created or seen an application for it in developing the application of that airsoft pistol instead of Johnny and Jimmy in the backyard shooting each other.
Well, and that's one thing is from a parent's perspective, why would I buy my kid an airsoft gun?
Really
they're just going to shoot their brother with it, And so now it gives it a legitimate purpose and actually a training purpose and that's the way I started out my family. My wife and my kids had never been around guns. I started them off with airsoft and showing them the basics, proper muzzle control, proper clearing of the weapon, and that's how I started. And a lot of people see the airsoft at Walmart or whatever big box store, and they think, well, that's just a toy, or Johnny's going to shoot his sister.
Well, some of the ones you see at Walmart are just toys, but
comparatively, but they can be used for a productive purpose.
Right. Well, in a regular basic pistol program, I have gone to people's homes to teach them pistol, and I've used airsoft or airgun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an easy way to get it for it because, like you said, a lot of people when they say they're afraid of guns or whatever. It's that misconception of knowing it's not really that they're afraid of guns. It might be the sound.
Yeah.
Kickback and sound.
They kick back or sound. So with some of the ones that don't have a slide on the top, which they call blowback, it's not going to be able to slide back. They have some that are just regular stationary guns.
I think the C11, the Crossman C11, you know that gun? We'll have to pull that one up. I think one of the gentlemen that came out yesterday, he came with his son. He had a Crossman, and I think it was the C11.
Okay, yes.
That is actually, and they had the C11 BB gun has been around for a very long time.
Right.
It is a very nice shooting gun. It's extremely simple. It's very inexpensive. And their airsoft version, if it's like their BB version, is probably under $50.
Is it a CO2 BB gun?
Yeah, CO2 airsoft. You want the airsoft version. But that would be something that non-blowback.
Right.
And it's just you pull the trigger and out it flies.
Right. Yeah. One of the other ones was the one that I wind up getting a little too rough with. Yeah. Because I'm used to blowbacks, and I went through the action, and then I pulled the action off, and but actually that was that Ruger.
Yep.
And that one right there, I found out for trigger pull for some of the kids, it was easiest for them to use.
Cool.
We had some of the other ones that we've had some non-blowbacks in past on some of them. The kids couldn't pull the triggers back because how hard it is because it's a non-blowback.
Yeah, and usually what the mechanics inside, not to get too technical, but the mechanics inside those guns is the barrel actually slides forward. That allows the BB to come up, and then when the barrel comes back, that's what engages the CO2 and it flies out. So you got a lot of moving parts in there other than just a hammer hitting a valve. So that's why you get that hard trigger pull.
Right. So it's fortunately we broke the gun. But I'll pick another one down the line. But down the line, I would find out even just women, kids being able to teach pistol. When I've gone into some of the indoor fields or the outdoor fields, I always were hearing some of the parents saying, "Do you guys offer any training? Mm-hmm. Where can I take my kid for training?" And the light went off again. Hey, I can get with these guys and tell them we do training and introduce them this way. But they're not realizing, I'm actually teaching them how to do this better for what they're doing out there with their friends.
Right.
I mean, you're going to shoot a 5-inch target that's 18 to 20 feet out, and you're picking it up and shooting a whole line real fast and moving the next thing. You know, if they go past the window or something like that, hey, you got your shot acquisition and you got a bigger target.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. No, I get get the idea, and I definitely get the point of it. And from a guy, again, I keep going back to this, more of an airgun purist, it has opened up a reason for me to want to get these guns and practice with them, build some targets, or get some. You guys actually have an online store, correct?
Correct.
And you're going to be offering the targets and packages. And tell me a little bit about what you got going on there. So if somebody, a club like our club here, Havasu Air Gunners, wants to do something, they can get with you guys, and you guys can help them get set up.
Correct. We're having all of our targets stuck out there online, so they can be able to pick them up. We're working in conjunction with some other bigger groups that are out there that are part of making this all program go, and they wanted us to make sure we can get these targets, because the reason why is we want to be consistent. Mm-hmm. If we shoot in Phoenix, we want to be able to come to Lake Havasu and shoot the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to go to Arkansas, we're going to go out into Fort Smith, or we're going to go out to New York. We want to see the same kind of targets, and with a straight across board and look, be able to see it. Yeah, there's maybe some tweaking here and there on how you do your scenarios for like 3-gun. That's up to you. But right. The targets are going to be consistent, and the quality of the product is going to be the same. Not one time we're going to go out there and see a guy making them out of 10, and now we're going to get bounced back, and we're going to get somebody hurt. Right. The idea was the safety along with the product that we're getting out there for the targets, versus also making sure we get the right kind of guns for someone can say, we can start this easy, comparable, like we said, to like in that 10-meter shooting for the sporter class. We wanted that same kind of concept and same kind of idea. It's cheaper for a club to come in and start shooting something and get some kids started.
Right.
Even though we have it as an age that was out here for 10 years old, this actually goes down to 8 years old. So we can actually acquisition the kids into things and start developing them, because the kids already got airsoft guns at this age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot that thing.
Well, I'm already. I told Rob here. We haven't gotten to it yet, but he had one particular target, which was a dueling target, which we'll save that for last, because that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a close call there on that one.
We were pretty equal.
Close match.
I think between Cecil and I think I beat him. He beat me. I beat him. I had lots of equipment failures. I'm going to stick with that. Yes. And then I went to shoot Rob with. I didn't shoot Rob. Went to compete with Rob, and I'm like, I'm gonna sight the first one. All of a sudden I hear ping, 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 ping. I'm like, holy crap! You better forget the sight and start shooting. That was a close one. I think I might have edged you out on that one. I have video evidence of that, Rob. But
yes.
That was. That'll get your blood going in a hurry, man. Son of a gun. So, all right. So you've got the IASS, which is brand new.
Correct.
Okay, and it is means that if somebody has a club or they're just an individual and they want to get started in this new sport.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And it's sort of it's really all the same sort of competitions you do with firearms. You just scaling it down, is that the right term?
Well, actually, no. The size of targets are scaled down. They are to a different scale, and the distances, say like some of the bigger targets that we would have had out there in regular firearm world, it could be 100 feet. We're max is probably at 50.
Yeah. And
then some of the closest that we'll go, because of we deal with the kids, is 18 feet.
Okay. All right, so you're bringing that stuff in. Now let's talk about some of the products we used.
Okay.
Because they were affordable. The Elite Force 1911, which is a nice-looking, full blowback, full metal gun.
Right.
It looks more expensive than it is. It's about $110 from what we're seeing on Pyramid Air's website.
Right, about $110.
And that is that's it. Sue, that's the correct one.
That's a CO2.
CO2. How many shots does it take? 16, 15. How many BBs does it have?
It can take about 14.
Okay.
Something
14,
like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a nice feeling good, a nice pistol. And then Cecil, you were using my 1911.
Yes.
And it's like a Tankfolio copy, or I think they're all stamped at the same factory.
Yeah, it looks like it, but
it was about $100. So $100 you can get a very adequate shooting pistol. And those 1911s have really good triggers.
Oh, extremely good.
I mean, very, very realistic, and from the 1911s, the actual 1911s I've shot. I personally have a Para-Ordnance, which has one of the nicest triggers I've ever fired in a 1911. Not that I've shot 30 or 50 different ones, but the ones I've shot, it's a nice trigger. So I do like the very quick bing, 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 bing you can get out of that gun with those triggers. Those 1911s were very nice. One
thing I liked about those is that they shoot both single and double action. Unlike some of the pellet pistols, they all were only double action only.
Right. So you start with a hammer back, essentially.
Right. You start with the hammer back, and you have that single action trigger pull.
It's lighter.
It's a lot lighter.
And then
you don't have to
slide,
pull the double action.
Yeah, the slide will work it, set the trigger, the hammer back again, and you're ready to go. Okay. Now that first stage, which was the pistol stage,
correct.
You had 6 targets.
I had 6 targets set up, and what I had it resemble, our regular Steel Challenge focus, the stage called focus.
Okay.
But usually the Steel Challenge, what we do is usually 5, but I added the 6th one there.
We got extra targets, right?
We got targets out there. Let's throw them out there. Let's have more fun. So it just gives more of a chance to go through and have that one extra shot and a little bit further out target, that we got to sit out at probably 30 feet.
Yeah.
So, and doing that Airsoft or the Airgun out there at 30 feet with that 6-inch target, ain't bad.
No,
that's a challenge.
And we had a little bit of a crosswind, about 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, we had some wind blowing.
And I thought they were staying on pretty tough.
They did very well, and we shot those both with the Airsoft. We also used some pellet pistols. I had the Smith & Wesson 586. I had the Beretta FS92, and I had the Beretta PX4. So we shot several different air guns. The PX4 seemed to give me a little problem.
You may have to slow down and give me those again, please.
We'll come back to them. We use those quite a bit. Yeah, sorry, Cecil. We use those.
Who's going to talk?
I'm going to finish my thought.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Thank you.
Okay.
Those we use really down on the dueling target more so than the others. But go ahead. You were saying.
Yeah, that Smith & Wesson, though, definitely over all the pistols that we had, shined, but it also shows in the price tag for it.
Well, it's like $250.
Yes.
So,
right.
Yeah. It used to be, I think, $300. So if it's come down, you've got a full metal, real weight, smooth firing pistol.
Right.
Very accurate. It's German made, licensed Smith & Wesson. It's not. You're not going to buy it at Walmart. I'm just saying.
No.
It's a very, very nice product.
No, we have one of the gentlemen. He has the 6-inch. Okay. And watching him shoot that versus one of the other ones that was like $60-$80, there was a huge difference in his shot, and the consistency was so much there. And he always thought it just shot so smooth.
Yeah.
It just didn't have its longer length of pull for the trigger. It was nice and crisp each time he shot it. So.
Yeah. Well, and the pull on it it's consistent. It's not like it gets real tough and then it loosens up. Correct. Or it starts off loose. It's just consistent weight all the way through it.
Yeah, and I would agree that the reason I liked it better than the others was the trigger pull. It was, even though it was a double action revolver, and I've shot the Dan Wesson type BB revolvers,
right?
And the single action's always pretty good on those, but the double action is just tough. I mean, it's just hard.
And it's gritty usually.
Yeah, and if you're trying, if you have to do something in a hurry, I mean, man, you're talking about really needing some really good trigger control to be able to cycle through that double action and stay on target.
Right.
And the Smith & Wesson, I thought, did that better than basically any other gun I shot yesterday, as far as the pistol revolvers go.
Right.
So the next stage, let's see what time it is. We are at, you know what? We're going to take another quick break. We're going to take another minute break here. We'll come back. We'll talk about stage 2.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, and we're back. We're here with Rob Potter with Shoot Right and IASS, and Cecil. So, Cecil, what did you think of stage 2 yesterday?
Well, stage 2 was pretty good. I used the Elite Force pretty much the whole time. There was that.
That was stage 3.
That was
stage 2.
Oh no, stage 2.
Oh.
Okay.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah. No, stage 2.
Pay no attention to the mistakes.
Yes, the shotguns. Well, actually, we didn't actually when we were shooting, we didn't use that new shotgun. We used the Elite Force, the UTG shotgun. Yeah. It actually, I was surprised how well it worked. It was actually really fun.
When you say 3-stage, do you mean the first stage was the pistols, the second one was the shotgun, and the third stage was the rifles?
Correct.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, I was confused on that.
Yeah.
I was in another place. And
Okay, just needed clarification.
And then Rick
'cause
tried
I
to
had
knock
no
my
idea.
head back into the right place.
Rick will do that.
We're on a different studio arrangement today. You guys will see it on camera. But with 3 people, I think this actually works better.
Yes. But yeah, no, the shotguns was really interesting, and I was amazed how well that worked, that UTG shotgun.
I like that shotgun.
yes.
It's very inexpensive. It's $65.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
And excuse me, you have a shell, has 30 rounds in it. It's spring actuated. Cocking it is hard for the younger kids.
And
Yes.
for the woman.
True, I saw you had to help them with that last little click a lot of times, Rob,
Yeah.
when you were coaching them.
Right. When it is pumping, it's since it's spring, it actually has 3 barrels inside, so it's pushing 3 babies into the barrels the same time you're pulling it back. So that's probably where the roughness is coming into. It's
Right.
not like having that CO2 or that green gas
Yeah.
or something to be able to
Right.
say, hey, let's get it in there for you. You know. So
Once I was told that you need to do it in one full motion instead of pull back until it kind of stops and then pull again. Once I was told to try and do it all in one motion, it worked much better.
right.
And it is hard, but once I did it that way, it worked for sure.
Because if you go back on it the second time, you're adding more rounds to it. I've seen some people who are doing 5 because it doesn't get it in there doing the 6th one in there because it's pumping in more rounds into it. So by the time they got to the end, they're running out because with the 30 BBs and doing the 6 targets, you weren't going to have enough at the end of the end of that
True.
stage there.
Right.
So
Because you had 6 what's called poppers, and they're sort of weighted diamonds.
yes,
On little rollers, and when you hit them, they sort of rock. So you get the sound and you get the movement to know you hit.
right.
So
And then one last thing, while we're doing this stuff, we have to worry about walking down range. It's just one of the extra features that just having it reset itself, it lets us get to the course a little bit easier that way. Especially since most of our guns aren't not like really splattering like a regular firearm would
Sure.
on that steel target.
Right.
And so the shotgun, what would happen is we'd come off the pistol round. Like if we were going to do a course, you shoot your pistol targets. Hopefully you hit them all. You get that gun down, put the safety on as quickly as possible. I was trying to get Cecil penalized with some safety violations, but he managed to get his safeties on.
Yeah,
I needed all the help I could get.
Well,
Yeah, that
he
boy's
went out
quick.
and did his studying that he was supposed to do.
Yes, I did. Well, yeah, you have to. Whenever you put the gun down, it has to be in a safe condition.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Because if not, you get penalties. And every little thing is somehow, some way, the safety is paramount.
Yeah.
So the safety, you're going to get ding points. You know, your score, you're going to get time at it if you're not doing the right thing, and you're going to get points at it if we're missing a target.
Yeah.
So
Right, and
Yeah.
your 180-degree field of fire, you can't break that 180-degree plane with the muzzle of the weapon or the
180
the
or
air
90
rifle.
degree?
180.
180 degree. It's 180 degree. You're not supposed to
Okay,
see anything going up and down
I'm
line.
with
so.
you there.
Yeah.
I'm like pushing straight forward, so I'm like, that 180, I could be turned around
No,
backwards.
you got
You're
you
left
got-
to right. I got
You got 90 degrees to the right, 90 degrees to the
This
left.
is Johnny
There you go.
Ignorant here, so I'm just. It's like those guys. You know, I went out there and I made a 360-degree change in my life.
Yeah.
Really? So you're right where you started. Okay, then.
Math was never their strong
And
point.
Let's move along. Okay, so the shotgun stage. You'd come to the shotgun stage, grab that thing off the table, and just start racking the rounds through it. And that, I actually had a different. I gave it to my dad. I had a different version of that. You have the collapsible stock, which I think is an important thing to discuss when you're talking about bringing in younger shooters, because you need to be able to adjust the stock
Right.
for them to be able to use it. Or if they can't, and this is something we're doing with our club, if they can't properly handle the product, they can't shoot it
No.
because they learn poor form.
Correct.
And so if they're too young to shoulder it properly, man, we're sorry, but you have to be this tall. It's like, when you take the ride to
Right.
fair.
To do this
Well,
ride.
It's not only teaching bad discipline and bad practices, but also it's not as safe.
Yeah, well,
For everybody
safety
involved.
is absolutely critical.
Well, and it's just going to be a bad habit for that kid to break later. And the consistency, they're going to get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because their consistency, if they're rolling their head over to the side because they're trying to see because how heavy it is, because they're trying to put it up under their armpit, because it's so heavy for them or so long. They're going to build up a bad position.
Yeah.
And then say we were shooting that 10 meter, they're going to get frustrated and never want to attend that sport again. And they can be something great later down the line, but they just got frustrated and they never want to do it again.
Right.
And they're going to say that kind of sport is no good.
Right. So it's important that the products. I like to use the word product as much as possible.
Right.
But the gun, the products really fit properly, and that they're taught to use them properly. And this is one that UTG, Sue's going to put some pictures up on Facebook, but that particular shotgun, because of the collapsible stock, there you go, Sue. It allows you to adjust it. It makes it a very, very short length to pull.
Right.
And I've actually shot that, which was had Sue from ways away throw water balloons in the air and shoot them out of the air, or clay pigeons and stuff. So, you can shoot the little poppers on the ground, but you can have a lot of fun with those. They're a real hoot.
Right. It's not just for the this kind of sport here. I see some of the kids out there doing milsim with it. Mm-hmm. That's what they do go into the rooms with.
Yep.
So.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. Okay. Third stage.
Okay, now we're back to now we're in my okay. So that's the one I was using, the Elite Force M4.
Yes, you were.
And
that M4 CQB.
The M4 CQB, yes. Close quarter. And that would be more towards that milsim kind of design. It's got the collapsible stock like the shotgun, so you can adjust it. I know Naomi enjoyed shooting that one.
She likes that gun. Got the quad rail, full metal rails.
Yeah, it's got the Picatinny rails all the way around the barrel for the handguard, and it has the flip up open sights on it. But that one worked really well. You did have the upgraded battery, and we put that in it, and it seemed to help quite a bit with the lag time. When being an electronic automatic, you have that lock time. Right. But that one worked really well. It was accurate too. I mean,
it was more accurate than the air gun I brought.
Yes. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll have to
the one that may
out.
remain unnamed.
Well, I brought the Beretta CX4, which you've used this very successfully, Rob. Right. So I had left it out in the sun,
right?
And I got valve lock.
Yeah, with the CO2, so desert sun. Yeah,
that didn't work. So we had to put it in the shade and call it a day for that one. But earlier that day, before I let it bake in the sun for 3 or 4 hours, I was running those targets like nobody's business with that CX4. Right. And that's a 30-round CO2 target killing machine. It was very good for that. Right. Unfortunately, I screwed things up. This is my first time I think was uncalculable, because it was 75 seconds plus penalties, and it wasn't good.
In most cases, we're not going to have that many of the guns on the table.
Yeah.
It's when that shooter comes up that has his guns, we lay him out at that time. They usually got them back there, making sure they're getting wiped down, getting cleaned off because it got dust.
Yeah.
Or, being inside, just making sure no one's adjusting their sights. It happens, competition.
No, really? I thought about doing that to Cecil.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
After the spanking he gave me at the CO2 field target we had last week.
Rick, I'm shocked that you would do that.
I wouldn't do it. I'd think about doing it.
Yes.
I wouldn't do it, but I want him to do it to me, and he's the one packing the trailer most of the time.
He's not opposed to making weird noises behind you.
Look, we're not even going to get into the whole CO2 field. I was watching the video of that, and I was getting stinking harassed when I was trying to shoot, man. Son of a gun. That was just not right.
Well, no.
So you're not been doing your radio
wife
drill.
Turned my wife against me. It was my turn to shoot.
Hey, what did I do?
You came ahead of all of us, and so you need to be quiet.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, get off subject.
Yeah, the Elite Forces were really nice, and you had some other Elite Forces out there. A different model for the third stage there, the Elite Force M4s or the AR-15.
Yeah, you had that smoke, clear.
The kind of clear smoke looking AEG that we had out there.
Right.
And that's the one that I think runs about 120 or something like that.
Perfectly adequate.
So and for someone getting started in something, that's perfect. You're not spending the $200-something bucks, because now you can get a pistol, or you get that rifle and you get that shotgun. Yeah. So now you got two of the guns already.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the kids probably already got a pistol, because a lot of these kids got airsoft pistols somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
So someone in your club's already got some of these guns. So
yeah, that's very, very cool. And I really liked the rifle stage. Was more my cup of tea. I really enjoyed that. I did find it interesting how tough it was to acquire the target accurately, so in as quickly as possible, especially with those particular flip-up sights, because I'm so used to either a dot sight or a scope. But to try, I mean, that post sort of obscures things, so it was tough. I mean, it was a challenge. You had 9. What sight? You had them staggered. So if we're going to set the scene, you had 5 and 4 or 4 and 5.
Yeah, we had at about 28 feet, we had the 5-inch targets, just 4 of them. We had them at 28. And then behind it, we had the 6-inch, and we had 5 of those at 30 feet.
All right. Okay. So you had 9 targets that you had to go bing, 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 just as quickly as practical.
Right.
And then we would turn about 45 degrees to the left.
Correct.
And you had staggered in square targets, which are 6 by 8.
6 by 8.
Okay. And those were some 35, 40 feet.
Might be a little bit further. We might have had those about 45 feet because of they're across the range.
Yeah.
For the and I basically laced them in between where the pistol targets were, so you had to shoot in between the pistol targets when you're shooting.
Right.
So it gave you a lot. If anything, they gave you a lot more style of more your precision shooting, because if you went left or right, you're gonna tip one of the other ones, and if you tip those in regular competition, you get a ding for that.
Oh, well, that's what I was just going to ask. Is that if as we were coming, as you would, you shoot your 9 targets in front of you, and then you turn to the left, and you see the round targets you just shot in pistol, 2 stages ago, but in between each one there was a square, so you had to aim for the square, not the round.
Correct.
So not only were you shooting targets, but you had to make sure you were acquiring the right target and only hitting the right target.
Right.
Which it's fun.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, it's a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
So, and I mean, we'd come up to the line, we'd get shooter ready, and what was the next thing you would say?
Oh, saying shooter ready, and then I was say stand by,
and then the
beep. Within 2 seconds after that, the audible sound of the beep.
And then you have special timers, don't you?
Yeah, the timers we had actually, the company Are You Ready?
Okay.
Makes them for your regular firearms out there. They have now made an Airsoft airgun timer.
Okay.
And it works just no different than your regular firearm one. But one thing is a warning: don't ever have them around a firearm. If they are running, it would just ruin them. They'll never work again. So
because they're more sensitive.
Yeah, I mean, usually if you take your firearm timer, you try to snapping your fingers next to it, it won't read it. With these, you can snap your finger next to it, and it's going to read it.
Yeah, I did notice that after you were done, if you were running the timer for somebody, you need to really make a note immediately after they finish, because any sort of noise around you after that's going to add time to it. So
right.
You make sure. And it counts your shots, and then it was pretty cool. So.
Right.
I wondered why you had to hold that up to the person every time.
Right. When you're holding up, I always try to make the screen, the LED screen, look back towards me so I can see that. But also, if we're doing like steel challenge, it actually will give you your split in between shots.
I don't know what that means.
Your split is talking about how fast you're acquiring your next target.
Okay.
So if you shot a .89, and it all of a sudden it can pop up again, it's an ongoing split, but it's showing inconsistency when you're doing it. It can show if it's a .89 or 1.89. One of the things that we also want to do when we're doing these trainings, we want to kind of get over the persona out there that we hear guys saying, assault rifle, even referring it to their firearm. We never seen that rifle jump up off the table and hit somebody, so it can't assault you.
You're right.
Exactly.
So you know what I'm saying?
I think, Rob, we'll have you back. I mean, we'll get the Skype thing worked out. We'll get you back up here. We'll keep talking about this stuff because we have barely scratched the surface. We've had so many conversations over the last couple of days that would have been great if we had recorded. But
yes. Well, and with the starting up the Airgun Club here in town in Havasu, and it's opened up a lot to us.
Right.
And we've been looking around a lot more and gotten a lot of more information.
Yeah, this gives us something that we can also do besides the traditional field target, bench rest, etc. We can introduce these and have a lot of fun with them. Sue's got her finger up. What's Sue?
I just wanted to say it was such fun, and I would love to do it again because I didn't get enough time on the guns because there were too many people who came, which that's never a bad thing. But in this case, it was a bad thing because I want more time on it. Right. So, yeah, I'm all for them coming back and doing it again. It was awesome.
Well, we're going to acquire some targets from Rob, and we'll have some stuff here in Havasu. If you guys out there are close to Havasu or ever this way, look us up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have us to airgunners.org.
There you go.
Right. And then there's different clubs out there. We're going to different clubs, and we're setting some things out, especially here in the state.
Okay,
So,
we got a minute left. Rob, I want you to tell people where they can get your information.
Our information, you go to shootrightaz.org, and there's a link on there for international air shooting sports, and you can go out there. People want to know more about this and maybe start this. We have the guide out there and the rule books and the membership applications out there. They can sign up, and we also help get them certified as NRA coaches for pistol to be able to run these type of programs.
So that'll be our next topic. I think we'll talk about some of the different services that you're offering that way, and to get more people involved in the sports. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you for joining us here at Air Power. Cecil, thank you. Rob, thank you. Sue, thank you over there.